Chris Davies.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I say what a pleasure it is to follow the honourable member from Upper Ban, and it's always a great pleasure to hear those wise and knowledgeable words in any agricultural debate in this House from the honourable member. Could I congratulate the Secretary of State and his ministerial team for bringing forward this bill, for delivering the principle of support for agriculture for the first time that this House has been able to do it in over 40 years. Many aspects of CAP were, of course, very unpopular, but it did provide a vital lifeline for farm businesses in my constituencies, for farming families in my constituency and many upland constituencies right across the country. But change needs to come, and thank goodness the government have worked long and hard on this, and change is going in the right direction. We need to reduce the administrative burden on farmers because this industry is a very overburdened industry, and this is a great opportunity to do so. And I know the Minister in particular is very keen to see this coming forward and has great ideas which will come forward in SIs in the future. We also need to think about how the payments are going to be made, Madam Deputy Speaker. And there are many who are concerned, certainly in my constituency, about the Rural Payments Agency, because in the past they haven't exactly covered themselves with glory. And if they're going to be in charge of our new scheme, I would like to see a very tighter control and great regulation placed on them by our DEFRA department, and let's hope that the ministers will take that back with them. I'm very pleased indeed that the Welsh Government have decided to couple themselves with this bill, with the British Government. Very disappointed, in fact, that the Scottish Government aren't following suit.
Very disappointed.
I think that is a massive disappointment to the people of Scotland, and I know the member for Gordon, who serves as my Vice Chair on the Backbench DEFRA Committee, works particularly hard for the farmers in Scotland, and so do all the other Scottish Conservative members. So I'm very disappointed that we've heard what we've heard from across the floor on the Scottish National benches today. I will happily give way.
The honourable gentleman would bother to consult with the NFU in Scotland, he would find that their primary concern is of farming being run from here, not only by a centralising agenda, but a parliament that took £160 million of EU money from Scottish farmers.
Well, I certainly don't agree with the honourable lady, and it's clear that the Conservative members on this bench, I'll happily give way, disagree also.
To my honourable friend for giving way. In fact, the briefing states very clearly the biggest concern that NFUS have is the politicisation of the process by the party opposite, who are not governing Scotland in the national interest, but in the nationalist interest.
I would go further, Madam Deputy Chairman, and I'd be interested if the DEFRA Department would consider ring-fencing the agricultural budget to all devolved nations as time goes on, because certainly in Wales we're very concerned that the money will not be spent on agriculture, and let's hope that Scotland will spend their money on agriculture, but that time will tell. I think it's already been touched on, and this is very important, and the NFU right around the country are very keen to see a national framework, because all the countries within the UK need to work under a national framework, because otherwise we will see farming becoming very fragmented. We will see Scottish farmers competing against Welsh farmers, English against Northern Ireland, and so on, and that will be to the detriment of the whole farming industry in the United Kingdom. So it is most important that we have a national framework. I will give way.
The honourable gentleman not share my concerns that DEFRA here in London has been listening, has had the ear of English farming lobbyists for the last 19 years, and must beg the question to the government how best they will represent the interests of farming in Wales and Scotland.
I don't share the honourable lady's concern. In fact, I would say, as somebody who is a Member of Parliament on the borders, a border farmer as there are in Scotland and England, as there are in Wales and England, we are very concerned that we will see different processes taking place on either side of the border and causing great problems for cross-border farmers, and that is a worry which I'm afraid that the honourable lady, the leader of Plaid Cymru, does not share with the Welsh farmers on this side of the border, on the Welsh side of the border. I will move on, Madam Deputy Chairman, because I would like to say that farmers are indeed also conservationists. Now, this is a dual role. There is no difference. There is no difference at all. In fact, the Secretary of State visited a farm in my constituency just before the summer recess. He met farmers, their family farmers, and young Farmers Club members. The Paynes Castle Valley is a typical farming valley in Wales. It has a river at the bottom, it has green fields, well-fenced, hedged green fields leading up to commons above. And ladies and honourable members will know that this was not designed by a young civil servant with an environmental degree sitting in Westminster, Cardiff or indeed in Scotland, nor a bearded, sandal-wearing, lifetime environmental campaigner, and not even a fashionable environmentalist who writes a blog and has thousands of Twitter followers. This scene, this valley, this countryside was designed and managed by generations of farmers over 100, 200, 300 and more years.
Absolutely.
They really are, the farmers are the best people to take the environment forward, to take farming forward. And it's livestock producers, livestock farmers who should be right at the front of this brave new world of farming, and they should be looking after our payments, guiding our policies and making sure that they are there as the true knowledge of agriculture. I would briefly, if I may, just touch, as the chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Forestry, on forestry. It hasn't been touched on a great deal in this debate so far, but while this agricultural bill is focused on agriculture, and my speech so far is focused on agriculture, it's very important that we consider tree planting in this country. Brecon and Radnorshire is a large constituency where forestry and timber production supports many rural livelihoods. We have the largest sawmills in Wales, employing nearly 200 people, based in Newbridge-on-Wye. It's very important that we support tree planting, and I'm delighted that the Secretary of State for DEFRA, only in the conference just a week or so ago, gave that firm commitment to planting those 11 million trees during this Parliament. And I hope he's able to achieve that aim, because it is vitally important that the timber processing industry, for whatever reason, whether it's for flood prevention, mitigation, or whether it's purely for products for the future, is able to thrive and prosper. I'll give way.
Doesn't my honourable friend agree that it is intensely regrettable that the current Mayor of London has not continued to plant as many trees as its predecessor in London?
Yes,
I fully agree with my right honourable friend, and wherever it may be, in the countryside, in the streets, in the middle of dual carriageways, it's very important that we plant trees in this country, and I think the public want that to happen, and I hope DEFRA will ensure that it does. As I bring things to a close, Madam Deputy Speaker, I would say that we may not all be farmers or foresters, we may not all be cheese makers or honey producers, but whatever we may do and wherever we reside, it's most important that we live in a clean and healthy environment. And of course we all need to eat, and unlike some members probably not sitting on the front bench at the moment across the chamber, we cannot all live on avocados from Mexico or mung beans from India. We need to feed ourselves on great British products. And ladies and members, sorry, I've given a few other speeches lately doing auctions. It's most important that we support our farming industry, because we clearly produce the best products in the world, whether it's livestock, whether it's beef and sheep, whether it's fruit and vegetables. We have the best welfare standards in the world. We have the best qualities of our products in the world here in Britain, and through this new agricultural bill we need to support that and support our farmers. Thank you very much.